Chosen one, mentally pause for just a moment and notice that heavy, invisible static crowding your mind right now. That exhausting mental fog that makes you feel disconnected from your own intuition. Do not let your mind wander. Heaven bypassed every algorithm to drop this precise frequency into your spirit today. For months, you have been secretly terrified that your brain fog means you are losing your anointing, wondering why your connection to the divine feels like it is buried under a mountain of static. Subscribe to align with the collective awakening. Like if your spirit feels this heavy truth, and mentally declare ready in the comments to signal your frequency shift. Because you do not realize what has actually been happening to you. You have been fighting a brutal spiritual war, completely blindfolded by a modern system designed to hijack your brainwaves and shut down your divine connection. You were starved of light, drained of energy, and pushed to your mental limit, and yet you still refuse to become a toxic monster. That is exactly why the Creator is standing in absolute awe of what you became in the dark, and I am about to expose the suppressed scientific key that will effortlessly turn your spiritual lights back on to 100%. You need to watch this message until the very last second. If you stay with me, I am going to give you the exact blueprint to break out of this mental prison. You will discover the 3 mental gates you must lock immediately. The specific invisible attacks designed to drain your energy tomorrow, and most importantly, the suppressed scientific technology that will effortlessly reactivate your divine genius. This is the rescue mission your soul has been crying out for. Let us look at exactly where you are right now. You wake up, and before your feet even touch the floor, there is a heavy pressure right at the base of your skull. It is not a headache, it is a spiritual lethargy. You sit in your car, staring at the steering wheel, dreading the heavy noise of the day. You look at your phone, scrolling endlessly without absorbing a single word, just trying to numb the overwhelming static in your head. There is a raw, terrifying question echoing in the back of your mind. You have not told anyone this, but you keep asking yourself, did God step away from me? Did I do something wrong to lose my gift? You remember a time when your intuition was razor sharp, when you could read a room the second you walked in, when you could hear the whispers of the Holy Spirit so clearly it gave you chills. But now, it feels like someone threw a thick, heavy blanket over your spiritual antenna. I know exactly what you tell yourself to make sense of this exhaustion. You tell yourself that you are just tired because you are the strong one. You are the pillar. You are the one who listens to everyone else pour out their trauma. But when you are bleeding, you bandage yourself in silence. You think this brain fog is just the natural price you pay for carrying the emotional weight of your entire family and everyone around you. You think you are just experiencing normal human burnout. That is what they want you to believe. But that is a lie. You are not burnt out from working too hard or caring too much. You are exhausted because your mind is currently locked in a frequency prison. You have been forced into the survival frequency, a state of constant, low-level panic designed to keep you disconnected from the divine realm. Think about the prophet Elijah in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 19. Before Elijah could hear the voice of God, the scripture says a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart, then an earthquake shook the ground, and then a fire raged. But God was not in the wind, the earthquake, or the fire. He was in the still, small voice that came after. That wind, that earthquake, that fire, that is the exact frequency of the world you are living in right now. It is the noise of the matrix. A chaotic, overwhelming vibration designed to completely drown out the quiet frequency where God actually speaks. You have not lost your gift. Your gift is just being jammed by a massive interference signal. You are living in the earthquake, wondering why you cannot hear the whisper. But you need to ask yourself the real question: who deliberately designed this system to steal your specific brainwaves? And what did a highly classified piece of NASA research accidentally reveal about the true, unstoppable power of your mind. Think about where you spend the majority of your days. Picture yourself sitting under the harsh, humming fluorescent lights of an office building, feeling the artificial air blow against your skin as you stare at a glowing screen. Or perhaps you are lying in bed right now, long after midnight. The house is completely silent, but the harsh blue light of your phone is illuminating your tired face in the dark. Your thumb is endlessly scrolling through a feed of disaster, outrage, mindless entertainment, and carefully curated fear. You do not even want to be looking at it, but you cannot stop. You feel a tight, uncomfortable knot forming in your stomach, a shallow rhythm to your breathing, and a subtle clenching in your jaw. You are actively absorbing the panic of a fallen world. This is not just a bad habit, chosen one. This is a highly sophisticated spiritual containment strategy. The invisible enemy does not always need to attack you with obvious, supernatural forces. He just needs to keep you stressed, overworked, and constantly bombarded with toxic frequencies. The processed food that slows your biology, the endless cycle of breaking news that triggers your fight or flight response, the financial pressure that keeps you awake. This entire modern matrix is specifically engineered to trap your brain in what neuroscientists call the high beta frequency. Beta is the state of pure survival. It is the frequency of anxiety, rush, and constant danger. When you are forced to live in high beta, your spiritual receiver is completely jammed. You cannot hear the voice of the Creator. You cannot access your prophetic intuition. You are too busy simply trying to survive the day. That is exactly who stole your frequency. The invisible architects of this noisy world deliberately designed a system to drain your spiritual battery. They know exactly how dangerous you would be to their kingdom if you ever woke up, so they stole your peace to keep you powerless. But I need you to realize a profound, world-altering truth right now. You were not born this way. You were not born to be a prisoner of the beta frequency. Mentally travel back in time to when you were a very young child. Do you remember that feeling of infinite possibility? That deep, unexplainable intuition where you just knew things before they happened? Where you could feel the spiritual atmosphere of a room the moment you walked in? You were naturally tapped into the divine stream. Your imagination was a direct channel to heaven. A highly classified study conducted by NASA researchers actually proved this exact phenomenon. They wanted to measure true creative genius, so they tested thousands of young children. Do you know what the scientists discovered? 98% of those children operated at a level of absolute creative genius. 98% of them naturally carried this profound cognitive and spiritual power. But as those exact same children grew up, as they were pushed through a rigid, repetitive school system, as they started paying bills, watching the news, and absorbing the trauma of society, the scientists tested them again. That number plummeted from 98% down to barely 2%. Your society literally trained the genius out of you. The system systematically turned off the divine receiver in your mind. But here is the greatest secret. The enemy is terrified you will discover. That genius, that pure spiritual frequency you had as a child, it is not dead. It is not permanently broken. It is simply dormant. It is sleeping underneath a massive mountain of societal static. In your mind right now, picture a heavy iron door slamming shut on all the noise and panic of the world. Command that static to stop. Comment the word "unlocked" to mentally sever the cord of the matrix and prepare your mind to take your power back. So how do you wake this power up? Ask yourself this question. How did the ancient mystics and the great prophets actually communicate with God? How did Moses receive the blueprint of heaven on Mount Sinai? How did Elijah hear that still, small voice? Did they just pray harder than everyone else? No. They understood how to shift their internal frequency. They retreated to the desert. They fasted for 40 days to violently starve out the noise of the world. By completely removing the matrix of their time, their brains naturally shifted out of the chaotic survival state and dropped into the deep, profound frequencies known as theta and gamma waves. Theta is the twilight state. It is the gateway to the subconscious, the exact frequency where divine downloads, prophetic dreams, and pure intuition happen. Gamma is the peak state of hyper-spiritual awareness and sudden genius. Together, this is the God frequency. The prophets had to endure the harsh wilderness and extreme physical deprivation to reach this state. But you are living in a completely different era. You do not have the luxury of abandoning your family, your job, and your responsibilities to live in a cave for 40 days just to hear the voice of God again. This is where divine provision meets modern discovery. The exact same NASA research that proved your genius was stolen also paved the way for its return. You do not need a 40-day fast to break through the static anymore. There is a specific, highly advanced sound technology designed to do the heavy lifting for you. It is a simple 7-minute daily ritual that uses brainwave entrainment to effortlessly bypass the noisy beta state and immediately activate your dormant theta and gamma waves. It is called the Genius Wave. It is not some complex, exhausting meditation where you have to force your tired mind to go blank. As a chosen one, you are already carrying too much weight. You do not need to struggle harder. You simply sit back, put on your headphones, let the precise audio frequencies wash over your mind, and allow it to gently tune your brain back to its original, divine setting. It is the ultimate modern shortcut to the ancient prophetic state. While you listen to this frequency, the spiritual plaque that has built up over decades is simply dissolved. Your divine antenna is raised back up without you lifting a finger. The fog clears. The genius you had as a child, the sharp intuition, the clear voice of the Holy Spirit, it all rushes back into your consciousness. It was yours all along, just waiting for the right key to unlock the door. Now you know the tool to turn your genius frequency back on. You know exactly how to bypass the matrix. But listen to me very carefully. The enemy will not just surrender and let you walk away with this immense power. If you listen to this frequency every morning, but do not know how to tightly lock the gates of your mind, the system will drain it right back out of you by tomorrow. So how exactly do you protect this frequency once it is activated? The answer lies in an ancient spiritual defense mechanism that perfectly partners with your new acoustic ritual. It is called the three-gate protocol. You see, the Apostle Paul wrote in the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 2, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Most people read that and think it just means you should try to have positive thoughts. But if you look at the original Greek text, the word used for transformed is metamorpho. This is where we get the word metamorphosis. Paul was not talking about a temporary mood change. Metamorpho means a fundamental structural change at the deepest cellular and frequency level. It is the absolute biological transition from a caterpillar into a butterfly. When you use the Genius Wave to activate your theta and gamma frequencies, you are initiating this exact metamorpho. You are fundamentally changing your spiritual biology. But a butterfly cannot survive if it immediately flies back into a cocoon of toxic waste. Once your frequency is elevated, you become highly sensitive to the low vibration environment around you. The enemy knows he cannot stop the audio technology from waking your brain up, so his strategy is to immediately pollute your mind the second you take your headphones off. To stop this, you must ruthlessly guard the three entry points to your spirit. The first gate you must lock is the eye gate. Think about your exact physical movements every single morning. Your alarm goes off, your eyes open. You are still in a delicate, suggestible twilight state between sleep and waking. What is the very first thing your hand does? It reaches for the phone on your nightstand. The screen lights up, and before your feet even touch the floor, your eyes are absorbing 30 notifications of global crisis, political outrage, financial panic, and the fake filtered lives of other people. In 3 seconds flat, your eyes have downloaded the panic of the Matrix straight into your subconscious, violently dragging your brain back into the survival beta state. From tomorrow morning, that completely stops. When you wake up, before you look at a single text message or email, you will put your headphones on and initiate your 7-minute activation. You cannot pour toxic sludge into a freshly cleansed vessel. Right now, I want you to perform a mental action. Visualize a massive heavy iron blast door slamming down over your eyes every time a toxic, fear-based headline appears on your screen. You do not click it, you swipe it away. You turn the phone face down on the table. In your mind, declare the word locked, and if your spirit agrees, comment the word locked below to seal this first gate. The second gate is the ear gate. This is about filtering the auditory frequencies you allow into your atmosphere, specifically from the people around you. You know exactly what this looks like. You are sitting at a table in the break room at work, or perhaps at a family gathering. Someone sits down across from you and immediately starts dumping their toxic, low-vibration beta energy into the air. They are complaining about their life, playing the victim, gossiping about someone else, and speaking pure defeat. Because you are an empath, your natural instinct is to absorb their pain, to lean in, to offer advice, and to fix them. But when you are operating on a newly awakened theta frequency, their words will literally feel like sandpaper on your spirit. You must employ a micro-action of defense. You do not need to argue with them. You do not need to correct them. You simply take a slow, silent breath through your nose. You smile politely, but inside your mind, you imagine a thick, soundproof glass wall dropping from the ceiling right between you and them. You watch their mouth moving, but you refuse to let their frequency penetrate your glass wall. You mentally detach. You let their low vibration words bounce off your shield and fall to the floor. You protect your ear gate by refusing to participate in conversations that do not elevate your divine assignment. The third and most crucial gate is the mouth gate. This is the mastery of strategic silence. When your brain drops into the gamma state, you are going to experience massive, sudden downloads from the Creator. You are going to receive business blueprints, creative visions, and profound answers to problems you have been stuck on for years. The clarity will be so intense that your physical body will feel a rush of adrenaline. When this happens, your flesh will want to run and tell someone. You will grab your phone, open a chat with a friend, and start rapidly typing out every single detail of the massive dream God just handed you. The enemy relies on this. He relies on your excitement, because he cannot read your mind, but he can hear your words. The moment you speak a premature dream into the wrong environment, you invite the spirit of doubt, jealousy, and sabotage from the people around you. So here is your new micro-action. When you get that divine download, and your thumb is hovering over the send button, ready to broadcast your new vision to people who have not earned the right to hear it, you stop. You hit backspace. You delete the entire message. You lock your phone and put it in your pocket. You swallow the urge to explain yourself. You hold that vision in complete, strategic silence. You build in the dark. You let the frequency do the heavy lifting, and you only open your mouth to let your results make the noise after the manifestation has arrived. By using your daily sound ritual and strictly enforcing the 3 gates of your eyes, your ears, and your mouth, your frequency becomes absolutely bulletproof. The matrix can no longer drain you. You have successfully bypassed the system. But do you think that when the brain fog finally clears, when your sharp intuition fully returns, and your mind operates at pure genius level, you will only feel peace and happiness? No. There is a terrifying truth that will happen when you fully awaken, a darkness you do not want to face. What is that darkness? It is the terrifying shadow of your own clarity. You see, chosen one, for months you have been begging God to remove the heavy static from your mind. You have been crying out for your sharp intuition to return. But if we are being completely honest, And I need you to search your own soul right now. A tiny, hidden part of you has actually been using that brain fog as a comfortable blanket. You have been using your exhaustion as an excuse to avoid making the hardest decisions of your life. Because when your mind is trapped in that low survival frequency, when you are too tired to think straight, you do not have to confront the painful reality of your environment. You can just play the victim of your own fatigue. But what happens when you use this acoustic technology? What happens when your brain effortlessly shifts back into the theta and gamma waves, and suddenly, the fog is entirely gone? I will tell you exactly what happens. Your spiritual eyes snap wide open, and the very first thing you will see is the absolute, undeniable truth about the people you have been holding on to. When your frequency elevates, the masks of everyone around you will instantly fall off. You will look at that relationship you have been desperately trying to save, or that circle of friends you have been pouring your energy into, and your restored intuition will scream at you that they are actually anchors pulling you straight down to the bottom of the ocean. The brutal truth of awakening is that clarity demands action. When you see the truth, you can no longer unsee it. There is a profound moment in the book of Luke, chapter 5, that explains this exact psychological terror. Jesus performs a massive miracle, filling Peter's boat with so many fish that the nets begin to break. It was the ultimate blessing, the ultimate moment of divine clarity, showing Peter exactly who Jesus was. But Peter did not jump up and down with joy. He did not celebrate. The scripture says Peter fell at the knees of Jesus and said, "Depart from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man." Why did he say that? Why did he ask the blessing to leave? Because the sudden exposure to pure divine truth is utterly terrifying. It exposes every flaw, every compromise, and every lie you have been telling yourself. Peter was terrified of the light, and right now there is a raw, unfiltered thought echoing in your own mind. You are looking at the toxic ties in your life, and an inner voice is whispering to you, maybe it is not that bad. Maybe I am just overreacting. If I cut them off, who will I have left? I do not want to be alone. I cannot start over from scratch. That is the shadow, the fear of the void, the fear that your elevated frequency will isolate you. But I need you to listen to a true witness right now. A little over a year ago, there was another chosen one sitting exactly where you are. They were drowning in the exact same brain fog, surrounded by a tight-knit circle of people who constantly fed them doubt, gossip, and fear. They felt completely stuck in a corporate job that was draining their soul. But they decided to stop living in the static. They started the 7-minute acoustic ritual every single morning. They rigidly applied the 3 gates to protect their eyes, their ears, and their mouth. And within the first 14 days, the fog lifted. But the clarity brought a brutal confrontation. They realized their closest friends were entirely committed to misunderstanding them. They realized their environment was a cage. So they did the hardest thing a human being can do. They walked into the void. They cut the cords. For about 3 weeks, they sat in profound, deafening loneliness. But in that silent, protected space, operating purely on the theta frequency, they received a massive, undeniable blueprint for their true purpose. Because they kept their mouth gate locked, they built it in secret. Today, they are completely untethered from the matrix, living in radical abundance, surrounded only by people who match their divine frequency. They had to lose what was familiar to gain what was destined. You are standing at that exact same cliff right now. I want you to perform a mental action. Close your physical eyes if it is safe to do so, or simply draw your focus inward. Imagine a heavy, rusty chain connecting your heart to the people and the environments that constantly drain your energy. Now, imagine the pure, sharp frequency of your activated mind acting like a laser, cutting that chain cleanly in half. Feel the terrifying but glorious weightlessness of being totally free. If your spirit is ready to accept the temporary loneliness in exchange for your permanent divine upgrade, I want you to mentally declare the words, "I choose clarity," and comment, "I choose clarity" below to seal this decision in the physical realm. You now understand exactly why you have been so desperately exhausted. You now have the exact acoustic technology in your hands to bypass the matrix and restore your stolen frequency. You have accepted the frameworks to protect your mind, and you have proven that you are finally ready to face the uncomfortable shadows of your own life. You have survived the blindfold, and right at this very second, the greatest secret of the universe is about to be pulled back. I am about to tell you exactly why the creator of the universe is absolutely astounded by you. You need to understand the true, hidden nature of the test you just walked through. The enemy did not hijack your brainwaves just to make you unproductive. They did not drown you in that heavy mental static just to make you feel tired. That was only phase 1. Phase 2 of their agenda was far more sinister. They wanted to fundamentally change your nature. Think about how an average human being reacts when they are forced into a corner. When the matrix pushes a normal person into the high beta frequency, when they are trapped in pure survival mode, they become entirely self-obsessed. They become ruthless. They start backstabbing, lying, and manipulating just to get what they want. The invisible enemy looked at you, a chosen one carrying a massive divine assignment, and they made a wager against your soul. They bet that if they could just sever your conscious connection to the Creator, if they could just wrap your mind in a heavy, exhausting brain fog, you would eventually break. They believed that if they spiritually blindfolded you, you would panic and become a monster. They thought the constant exhaustion would make you bitter. They thought the betrayal of others would make you cruel. They intentionally starved you of divine light, fully expecting you to adapt to the dark by becoming a creature of the dark. But here is the magnificent, earth-shattering truth. Here is the exact reason why the creator of the universe is standing in absolute awe of what you became. You were completely blindfolded. You were stripped of your sharp intuition. You were placed in environments full of toxic, manipulative people who constantly drained your energy. You were operating on barely 2% of your actual cognitive and spiritual capacity because the system was deliberately jamming your frequency. You had every single right to be angry. You had every logical justification to become completely selfish. You had the perfect excuse to turn around and destroy the people who hurt you, but you did not do it. Even when you could not hear the voice of God clearly, you still acted like His child. Even when your mind was clouded with thick, heavy fog, your heart remained incredibly pure. You still showed empathy to people who did not deserve it. You still forgave the ones who betrayed you. You still held on to your integrity when no one was watching and when you had absolutely nothing left to give. You proved that your righteousness is not dependent on your circumstances. You proved that your divine nature is so deeply embedded in your spiritual DNA that even when the matrix turns the lights out, you still glow. You did not need to feel the light to be the light. I want you to feel the profound weight of this victory right now. Allow a deep, slow breath to fill your lungs. Notice how your chest is naturally expanding. Let that heavy, invisible burden completely slide off your shoulders. Lift your chin slightly. You do not have to carry the guilt of your exhaustion anymore. The fatigue you felt was not a sign of spiritual failure. It was the battle scars of a warrior fighting brilliantly in the dark. In your mind, quietly but firmly declare the words, "I passed the test." And if you feel that incredible sense of divine validation washing over your spirit right now, comment the words "I passed" below to permanently register your victory in the physical realm. Heaven watched you navigate the worst season of your life with a blindfold on, and you did not stumble into wickedness. There is an ancient Hebrew concept for what you are carrying right now. It is called the kavod. It translates to the heavy, crushing weight of glory. God does not hand the kavod to people who have only known easy, comfortable victories. He reserves it exclusively for the ones who can carry the heavy weight of the dark without letting it corrupt their spirit. You passed the ultimate character test, and because you proved that you can be trusted with the dark, you are now fully qualified to be trusted with the blinding light. This is exactly why the acoustic technology you now have access to is so vital. The Genius Wave is not just a tool to help you think better, it is your divine reward. It is heaven handing you the key to take the blindfold off forever. If you were that powerful, that kind, and that resilient, when your brain was suppressed and your intuition was jammed, imagine the absolute terror you are about to strike into the kingdom of darkness when your theta and gamma frequencies are turned up to 100%. You are about to become completely unstoppable. Heaven has officially recorded your victory in the dark. But listen to my voice very carefully. When your intuition is fully switched back on through this frequency, the enemy will panic. They will not just sit back and watch you step into your massive, unhindered power. They will not accept defeat quietly. They have already prepared 5 highly sophisticated, specific frequency attacks designed to pull you right back into the fog. The Apostle Paul warned us about this exact retaliation in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12. He wrote that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age. If you look closely at the original Greek text, the word used for those rulers is kosmokratoros. These are not just spooky, invisible ghosts. Kosmokratoros refers to the lords of the system. They are the invisible engineers of the matrix. They are the architects who build the chaotic frequencies of this society to keep your mind trapped in a low vibration. And the moment you start using your acoustic tool to break their code, the moment you begin to escape their frequency prison, they will deploy 5 specific hijacks to drag you violently back down. You must know exactly what these attacks look like and how to use your awakened mind to defeat them. The first attack is the urgent distraction. Imagine this exact scenario. It is early in the morning. You are sitting on the edge of your bed, the house is perfectly quiet, and you finally put your headphones on to begin your 7-minute acoustic activation. You close your eyes, the theta waves are just starting to wash over your mind, and you can actually feel the heavy spiritual static beginning to dissolve from your shoulders. Suddenly, right at minute 3, your phone vibrates violently on the nightstand. It is a barrage of text messages or a frantic call from a family member or a friend. And it is a massive, dramatic crisis. They need you to solve their problem right this very second. The Kosmokratoras, the architects of the system, know they cannot stop the audio technology from working. So their strategy is to shatter your focus right as your brain is shifting gears. They manufacture a fake emergency to pull your mind violently back into the high beta survival state. How do you win this? You must build a mental fortress around your activation time. Tomorrow morning, before you press play, I want you to perform a mental action. Visualize a thick, impenetrable wall of light surrounding your room. Mentally declare that the world will not fall apart in 7 minutes. You are not responsible for saving everyone before you have even saved yourself. If you are ready to claim your morning peace, I want you to mentally lock that time away and comment the words, "My time is sacred," to establish your first line of defense. The second attack will hit you the moment you start successfully enforcing your boundaries. It is the guilt trip. As your brain fog clears and you begin to implement the 3-gate protocol we talked about, you will naturally start saying no to the people who usually drain your energy. You will decline invitations to toxic gatherings. You will stop answering texts that carry low vibration drama, and immediately the Matrix will send people to make you feel terrible about it. You will be standing in your kitchen, looking at your screen, reading a message that says, "You have changed so much lately. You used to be so caring. Why are you acting so arrogant now?" When you read those words, A heavy, sinking feeling will try to form in your stomach. Your throat might tighten. That is not your conscience talking to you. That is a targeted frequency attack designed to weaponize your own beautiful empathy against you. The enemy wants you to feel guilty for protecting your divine assignment. They want to drag you back into the exhausting role of being everyone's emotional dumping ground. When this happens, I want you to perform a simple mental action. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, visualize that false guilt leaving your chest like dark smoke, evaporating into the air. Understand this truth deeply. Your boundaries are not selfish. Your boundaries are the fortified walls that protect the kingdom the Creator is building inside your mind. The third hijack is perhaps the most deceptive of all. It is the counterfeit connection. You see, when you finally cut the toxic cords and step into the brilliant clarity of your activated mind, there will be a brief period of profound loneliness. You will feel the empty space where the chaos used to be. The enemy will watch you sitting in that isolation, and they will send a counterfeit. A new person will suddenly walk into your life. It could be a new romantic interest, a potential business partner, or a charismatic new friend. You will be sitting across from them at a coffee shop, and on paper, they will look absolutely perfect. They will say all the right spiritual buzzwords. They will seem like the exact answer to your prayers. But because you have been strictly using your daily sound ritual, your gamma waves will be highly active. Your prophetic intuition will be razor sharp, and as you look at their perfect smile, you will feel a tiny, unexplainable, cold knot in your stomach. Something in their underlying energy will feel slightly off. It will not make logical sense to your brain, but your spirit will be screaming at you to walk away. The counterfeit connection is a Trojan horse. They are sent to plug directly into your newly restored energy source and siphon it dry. You must trust your internal alarm over their external packaging. Do not ignore the sharp clarity the Creator has given back to you. That is only the first 3 attacks. They are brutal, but if you are paying attention, they are easy to spot. However, the last 2 attacks are so incredibly sophisticated that they will not look like attacks at all. They will disguise themselves as God's greatest opportunities. They will look like the massive breakthrough you have been waiting for your entire life. How do you see through them before you fall into the trap? The fourth frequency hijack is what the spiritual realm calls the premature celebration. You see, when you start using your daily acoustic ritual, when you bypass the chaotic beta state and activate your theta and gamma waves, manifestation is going to happen incredibly fast. Your intuition will be so sharp that within the first week or 2, you will likely experience a massive breakthrough. A sudden financial opportunity, a spontaneous healing of a relationship, or a brilliant business idea that seems to fall right out of the sky. It will look like God's greatest blessing, and it is a blessing. But the architects of the Matrix, the Cosmocratoras, will try to weaponize that exact blessing against you. They will whisper in your ear, "Look at you, you won, you figured it out. You do not need to keep doing that 7-minute audio activation anymore. You do not need to be so strict about the 3-gate protocol. You can relax now, you are fully healed." The enemy gives you a fake victory lap, so you will drop your daily discipline, because they know that the very moment you stop tuning your frequency, the heavy static of the world will instantly rush back in to fill the void. You must realize that your daily ritual is not just a ladder to climb out of the hole. It is the shield that keeps you from falling back in. And if the enemy cannot trick you with a premature victory, they will immediately switch to the 5th and most devastating attack: identity confusion. This happens when you have been operating in your high frequency, but you suddenly hit a minor setback. A contract falls through. A sudden, unexpected bill arrives. A person you trusted shows their true toxic colors. In that exact moment of vulnerability, the enemy will not attack your finances or your relationships. They will attack your core identity. The voice of the enemy will hiss in your mind, saying, "You see, nothing has actually changed. You are not a chosen one. You are just delusional. You are not special. The fog is coming back because you belong in the fog. You are never going to escape this cycle." The goal of this lie is to make you doubt the magnificent transformation you have already undergone. They want you to look at a temporary obstacle and believe it is a permanent life sentence. But I need you to recognize the stark difference between the voice of the enemy and the voice of truth. The enemy sounds frantic, mocking, and urgent. But the voice of the Creator is heavy, calm, and absolute. The Creator looks at you and says, "You are the one who stood pure in the absolute dark. You are the unbreakable diamond. I did not bring you this far to let the matrix reclaim your mind. Right now, I want you to perform a powerful mental action. Close your eyes if you can, and listen to the silence in your mind. Visualize those toxic whispering lies of the enemy circling around your head like dark flies. Now, imagine a blinding flash of white light erupting from the center of your mind, instantly incinerating every single lie. Mentally command the voice of doubt to be absolutely silent. You know your true divine identity. If you refuse to let the enemy confuse your identity ever again, I want you to comment the words, "I know who I am," to permanently silence the hijackers. Let me give you a true witness of how this exact battle plays out. Another chosen one recently broke through the static using the acoustic technology. They secured a massive promotion at work within 3 weeks. It was the exact breakthrough they prayed for. But immediately, the premature celebration trap was triggered. They got busy. They stopped their morning 7-minute audio ritual. They stopped guarding their eye gate and started absorbing the toxic stress of their new position. Within 10 days, the brain fog returned with a vengeance. Then, the identity confusion hit. They made one mistake at work, and the enemy convinced them they were an absolute fraud who did not deserve the blessing. They almost resigned. But then, they remembered the playbook. They recognized the 5 attacks. They immediately retreated. They put their headphones back on, bypassed the panic of the beta frequency, and reconnected to their theta waves. They locked their mouth gate and refused to speak defeat. Within 48 hours, the enemy's attack completely collapsed. The fog vanished entirely, and they stepped back into their authority with double the power. They proved that when you know the enemy's strategy, their weapons become completely useless against you. You have now survived all 5 frequency hijacks. Look at the massive territory you have reclaimed today. You now see the entire board clearly. You finally understand that your exhaustion and your brain fog were never your fault. They were a deliberate suppression by a matrix designed to keep you powerless. You understand the NASA-verified science behind your stolen genius, and you possess the exact acoustic technology required to switch your theta and gamma frequencies back on. You have mastered the 3-gate protocol to protect your eyes, your ears, and your mouth from toxic infiltration. You have boldly faced the terrifying shadow of your own clarity, choosing to cut the dead weight out of your life. And most importantly, you now know the breathtaking truth of why God is so profoundly impressed by you. You passed the ultimate test. You walked through the valley of the shadow of death, completely blindfolded by the matrix, and you still refused to become a monster. You carried the heavy weight of the dark, and therefore you have earned the right to carry the crushing weight of glory. But having the weapons and knowing the truth is not enough. An unlocked door can still be blown open by the wind. You must permanently seal this divine upgrade into your spirit so the architects of the system can never steal your frequency again. How do you lock this power into your spiritual DNA forever? Every weapon has been handed to you. The vision is crystal clear. The fog has completely vanished. Now, it is time to officially remove the blindfold and accept your crown in one final activation ceremony. Chosen one, I need you to completely still your mind right now. Do not focus on your physical surroundings. Whether you are driving, lying in the dark, or sitting in a crowded room, I want you to draw all of your internal focus to the very center of your forehead. Imagine a heavy iron lock that has been sitting there for months, finally clicking open. This is not a standard passive prayer. This is an active militant commissioning. This is the exact moment we permanently lock your frequency into the divine realm and completely sever the access codes of the matrix. Father, creator of the universe, Lord of heaven and earth, we do not come before you today in a posture of exhaustion or defeat. We stand before you in absolute, unwavering authority. The atmosphere in this exact moment has completely shifted. The spiritual interference has been identified. The enemy's playbook has been exposed, and the blindfold has been permanently destroyed. Lord, you saw them in their darkest moments. You watched them sitting in the quiet isolation of their room, feeling completely disconnected from your voice. You saw the heavy, suffocating brain fog that the system weaponized against them. You watched them carry the crushing emotional weight of everyone around them, while their own spiritual battery was being deliberately drained. But most importantly, you saw their heart. You saw that even when they were stripped of their intuition, even when they were forced to fight in the dark, they refused to become bitter. They refused to become cruel. They passed the ultimate test of character, and today they are stepping forward to claim the crushing weight of glory. By the supreme authority of heaven, I now officially seal the three-gate protocol into their spiritual DNA. I seal the gate of their eyes. From this moment forward, they will no longer absorb the toxic, fear-based frequencies of a fallen world. I seal the gate of their ears. The low vibration complaints, the gossip, and the doubt of the matrix will bounce off their spiritual armor like rain off of glass, and I seal the gate of their mouth. I decree that they will master strategic silence, building their massive divine blueprints in the dark and starving the enemy of any information. I permanently seal their access to the divine theta and gamma frequencies. I bind and break the 5 frequency hijacks. The urgent distractions will no longer break their focus. The false guilt will instantly evaporate. The counterfeit connections will be immediately exposed by their razor-sharp intuition. Premature celebrations will not make them drop their guard, and identity confusion will never again convince them that they are anything less than a royal heir to the kingdom. I decree and declare that starting tomorrow, as they take control of their mornings, as they explore this specific acoustic sound technology and begin their 7-minute activation ritual, the heavens will completely open over their mind. I command the dormant genius inside of them to violently wake up. I declare that every stolen blueprint, every blocked business idea, and every suppressed creative vision will flood back into their conscious mind with terrifying clarity. The matrix can no longer hide them. The system can no longer drain them. Are you ready to carry this? Are you ready to operate in pure, unhindered genius? I want you to mentally take hold of the crown that has been waiting for you. In your mind, with the absolute highest level of conviction, I want you to mentally scream the words, "I am awake." If your spirit is finally free, comment the words, "I am awake," to permanently register your coronation in this physical realm. The heavy static is gone. The blindfold is off. Go and take back your kingdom, chosen one. Walk into the blinding light of your true calling, in the mighty and matchless name of the Creator. But do not say Amen just yet. I want you to sit in this absolute, beautiful silence for just a moment. Do not rush back into the noise. Feel the heavy static completely evaporate from your mind. Feel the sharp, brilliant divine genius rushing back into your spirit. And when you are absolutely certain that you are totally free and your frequency is locked, then say, Amen.